time for another episode of the PD Skillz Show. Today on the line slash video slash whatever you want to call it, we have the one and only Selfie Queen, Jessie Mack. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, well, of course. You were kind enough to loan cash to us. I hope today he's kind enough to do his duty in order to loan you to me for the show.
I hope so. Let's hope.
If he can hear me over there, fuck you, Cash.
He can't hear you, but I'll just flip him off for you.
There we go.
He's getting mad.
What game is he playing?
Dead by Daylight.
Oh, they keep telling me to fucking download that one. Well, he does. And I'm like, I don't even have PlayStation Online or anything like that.
I thought about it because we have a Switch. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to.
Well, yeah, when we were playing for a while there, like when we were doing the Among Us sessions, you never played with us. I was heartbroken.
He kept telling me like, people want you to play. I'm like, yeah, but the baby.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to both get in on the game and all that. But I mean,
Yeah.
Every once in a while we could just let Cash rock the baby and you play Among Us.
Baby, I do laundry.
Sorry, he's yelling at me.
Fuck off, Macho Man.
I know. I actually downloaded Among Us. I have it. It's not like I don't have it.
No, Macho Man, it's Elizabeth's time.
Nah, he went to go do laundry.
Oh, okay. Attaboy. So, obviously, one of the big changes in life for you recently is the motherhood thing. You enjoying it so far?
I was until I started teething, and now I'm not sleeping.
It stops. I promise you. It stops eventually.
He's a pretty chill baby, so I kind of lucked out, I think, because everybody's talking about like all these horror stories about like blowouts and all this stuff. I haven't had nothing.
But warning, when they stop teething, they start talking, and I'm not quite sure which one's worse yet.
Oh no, he's a very vocal baby. He may not be able to announce things, but he's a very vocal baby. So I'm ready for the talking, to be honest with you.
So with with the new baby in the house and all that, great time. I was actually saying to Matt with COVID-19, all the situations, if there was a perfect time to have a baby when you're a wrestler. People made jokes about it at the start of the pandemic, like, oh, wait for all these quarantine babies, but like for like what we do, it's like literally the best time. It's almost like you don't have to miss out on anything.
Well, I like to point out that technically I was pregnant pre-pandemic, like if you were to really get into like the numbers.
Yeah, no, I do know, I did know that.
But no, there was like a trend, like I was pregnant, and then I noticed like even like top roster people, so like Becky Lynch got pregnant, Sarah Logan got pregnant, there was like all these girls started getting pregnant. I'm like, huh. What a time to be alive.
Right? Gonna be all kinds of indie babies rolling around now.
Oh yeah, like there's like Hayes has a kid that I think he's like maybe almost a year older than mine. And he lives down the road, so there's like babies everywhere.
Now, did you find out, like, had you like found out like when you, like, it's my understanding you found out like when you were still wrestling, right?
Oh yeah, so I didn't know I was pregnant. I found out when I was like 7-8 weeks pregnant. So I'd wrestled Divya in North Bay. I wasn't even booked for it, but I wrestled in a Rumble for Courage Pro, and Wade gutted me in the stomach too.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, so I had no idea. I was gaining weight, but I thought that was just my meds. So honestly, it threw me off. And then when I got my blood results,
I remember because you posted like pictures on Instagram and that, like trying to like give yourself a little bit of reassurance and all that kind of stuff, and then boom, like a couple weeks later, you were pregnant. Well, obviously you were pregnant before, but it was like, oh, this all makes sense now.
If I had waited like a few weeks, because I was already like messaging promoters, because like I had like I guess residency at Acclaim in Ottawa, and I had stuff with Chad and like PWO, and I was like messaging promoters being like, I can't wrestle. Take that as you will, like just right now I just need time off. And they're like, oh, and like some of them kind of figured it out, like Sean knew right away. But if I had just waited like
it's either Matt gave her black eyes or she's pregnant. For some reason we can't see her.
Oh, was it the man Lucha too? Because I was like supposed to wrestle Freddie, and he was like retiring this, like he's supposed to retire this year or
Yeah.
last year, sorry. And like, so this was gonna be like my last, and I think my last match with Freddie ever. And he's like one of my best friends. And I was so excited, and I had to bail on that. And then Carter Mason makes jokes about it all the time because I left the industry and had a baby. And by the time everything's open again, like the baby's gonna be walking and talking. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope guys like Freddie and some of the guys that, you know, were planning on making, you know, 2020/2021, whatever was the, you know, their last bang out year.
yeah.
You know, I hope they, you know, just take the year to stay in whatever shape they're in now. If they feel they're good enough to go now, keep that shape. And I hope they, you know, hold on that other year and give themselves the, you know, proper go they deserve.
I think Freddie might. I don't know. I'm not. I can't vouch for him. Like we've talked on and off, so I don't know where he's at with that whole thing. If
Yeah,
he,
I've only spoke to him a couple times, but charming guy. He fucking makes me laugh.
Oh, he's one of my favorite people. He's literally one of my favorite people.
See, and he played online games with us, so we still couldn't get you in.
I know, and like he was like talking about like because when he started going in like venturing into Twitch and stuff like he's a good promoter. Like he's good at self promoting. Like he is good at what he does, and I respect him for it. I'm just like I can't. Like he wanted me to come on Twitch with him for something, and it's just like games that I don't play very much. So like I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So because like I play like very solo independent games. Like that's what I do.
Yeah. Oh, you're a gaming hipster.
No, I'm very. I guess so, maybe.
You hit on that Google search. Games that aren't cool yet.
No, I'm stuck in like old Sony games, and I'm stuck in like those like
fair.
jump scare games. Like I'm playing like all throughout my all throughout my pregnancy I was playing like Until Dawn and Man of Medan and stuff like that. Like that's what I was playing.
Mine lately has been just like SNES emulators because I finally downloaded a bunch of stuff and got to play in it, and I've been enjoying that. But that's been my cup of tea, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the older we get, the more we want to revisit older stuff.
Mm-hmm. And actually, speaking of, let's revisit some older stuff actually, because I've actually said to other guests, like I don't usually care to get back into like, you know, this is the story how this person started. But it actually floated recently for you when a picture of Stranglehold for a show that we were both on came up. And that kind of made me want to do a little bit of a rewind with you because it came to my attention that was like one of the, you know, first shows you did. So when did you actually get into professional wrestling? Like when and where, like how, like where did Jessie Mack come from? Fill me in.
A lot of people don't. I don't know, like every time I bring this up, people are really surprised by it. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But I trained at Battle Arts. That's what started me. And like a lot of people don't associate me with them. And I don't know if that's bad or good.
It is what it is. It just, if you have your own style outside of that, then that may be why they don't associate it. Because like I've wrestled quite a few of the Battle Arts guys. And like I know what I could see why you wouldn't be associated with that style. Like I've wrestled some pretty hard hitting, like more strong style mat based old school wrestling matches with them. Yeah,
like it's whatever, it is what it is. But so that show, actually, funny enough, I was just talking about it with Cash today, is I remember Chad and Sean. I don't remember meeting you, and I don't remember meeting Cash at all.
Yeah. Well, you were super focused in your match because it was you and Divya, right?
So I had two matches that show. The first show, it was me and Caitlin Diamond versus.
Yeah. Oh, because that was the Lucha Slam Stranglehold double shot there.
Yeah. Yes. So like this was like my second. I want to say like my second furthest indie show I've done. Like my first time, and I went with Divya, and I loved it. Like Divya and Brawler, like that was fun for me. I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, because on the actually, that's kind of funny. On the opening show, so on the Lucha Slam show, you wrestled Diamond, I wrestled Cash. So, you know, forms of value and currency. And then on the second show, we each wrestled a partner of a couple. Because I wrestled Brawler and you wrestled Divya.
Yeah, and like, well, they put me in like a no holds barred match, and like.
Yes, because that's what caught my attention was Chad going through the spot with you guys, the head in the chair, which I think you went on to use that quite a bit, right? That became a Jessie Mack exclusive.
Well, whenever I'm in multi-people matches and I don't want to get lost or I just think they're doing too much, I just tell them take me out with that. I'm like, that's it. That's how I'm going. I'll be down for a bit. Like, I just feel
Yeah.
like if it's like I'm ducking out of this because you guys are doing way
Grab
too
this
much
chair,
for
put me to bed for a little bit. Take the
Yeah.
wheel.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because like I have videos of like the progression of it because I think I've done it like I've had it 3 times on camera, and like it's just like the more I've done it, the better it looks. I'm like, yes, it's like the most satisfying thing to me.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's in your first handful of matches that you picked that up as a thing, and that's kind of been the thing for you, you know, since day one, is you haven't really been your traditional, so to speak, female wrestler. Well, like, was that a fair assumption?
Well, I learned quickly that just in general, wrestling isn't just one way. There is like so many different ways, and I wanted to appreciate wrestling as a whole, like as everything. So that show was my first time ever seeing like any hardcore matches. So I think it was like the triple threat with Chad, Sean, and Cash.
Yep.
And like I was like, what the hell? But I'm like, you know what? Like at the end of the day,
what is this fucking nonsense?
Yeah, and like I was talking to Chad, and one of the first people to add me to Facebook was Viking, and I've never met the guy ever, but he was like one of the first people. So I was like getting like a firsthand like look into what these guys do, like what all you guys did, and I was like, I don't know if I could do that, but I eventually learned that I'm more comfortable in matches that are kind of loosely based around hardcore style, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Like I'm more comfortable because it allows me to be a character, because that's pretty much what I realized right off the bat. Like I'm not super athletic. I'm not like this crazy weightlifting person. I'm small. I'm 5 foot like 2 on a good day, and like I'm not
Doing
like
my
I'm not
boots on.
I'm not delusional, right? So when I started like doing death proof and stuff like that, and Chad started introducing me all this stuff, I was like, it's easier for me to be more comfortable. Like my first kind of hardcore match was against Chad at Lucha, at Demand Lucha, and it was literally one of the funnest matches I've ever had. And like I was super loose, and like maybe it's because I had all my friends in the crowd, I don't know, but it was like a totally different me, and I loved
You were just
it.
comfortable, you were feeling right.
Yeah.
And like, and I get how like the hardcore too. And now, do you feel the same way about that? Like, cause you're one that wrestles guys as often, if not more, than you wrestle the girls, I find. Now, do you find that hardcore element is something you prefer overall, or just the matches with the guys?
I think I could do them with a girl. Like, well, so I did a main event at Acclaim Pro Wrestling, and it was me and Spinelli.
Yeah.
What the? Sorry, hold on. What did you just say to me? Oh, shut up. Sorry, Cash is being a dick. So we actually did a hardcore match, and there was tables, doors, chains, ironing board, thumbtacks, all that fun shit. So I did it with a girl, and it was fun. And I honestly think I could do it with just everybody at this point.
And did you like? Yeah. And did you guys both like? Were you guys both on the receiving end of a lot of the brutality? Was it mostly you because that's something that became your style, or?
I was heel, so I pretty much took a lot of it.
Fair enough. That's what people want to see. People want to see the fucking bad guy get brutalized.
Yeah, so I took the thumbtacks, and like this is my first time ever taking thumbtacks, and like I was just like, yeah, I'll do it. Like I don't like if I go in and I get scared, like I don't do things if I'm scared.
Where was it on a scale of out of the things you've done for your personally? What was like? Where was thumbtacks on the scale of 1 to 10 on your pain threshold?
It honestly didn't hurt, but I mean, like looking like it didn't hurt before childbirth, so I'm sure after childbirth, not gonna hurt that much either.
Yeah, like in the moment, it's the adrenaline too, right?
Yeah, like I don't know, like
I feel like if I was on a regular day and slipped and fell in some thumbtacks, like I'd probably fucking crying.
Like I'm just trying to think of like Cash and I did a really like cartoony like Lego spot once, and there was not a lot of Lego. It was pretty sad, and that didn't even hurt.
That like, was at No Limits, right?
Yeah. And like I don't know, like I think I have a pretty high like threshold for pain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to notice that more and more with wrestling. Like I have a really high pain tolerance. So I don't really like. I think the most things that have hurt me are like people being stupid and torquing my body when I tell them I'm not flexible. Like that's probably
Yeah.
more painful than thumbtacks or going through a door.
Is the
Or
actual like, like muscle pulls and stuff like that.
yeah, like I pulled my back twice. I wrestled a girl and I told her not, like, she's like, I'll put you in a camel clutch or whatever. I'm like, okay, but don't torque my back. Like I'm not flexible. And like I tell girls this all the time.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a cheerleader. I'm not flexible. Like I don't do that shit. Like, and she torqued it and it just like my back was fucked for like weeks.
Yeah, and I've actually that's come up on quite a few of my episodes where more times than none it's not the hardcore stuff that fucking kills you, it's all the other stuff.
Yeah, and like, well, the thing that I hate the most about the hard, like, I love hardcore and I appreciate hardcore. It's just they kind of get like a lot of flack for doing what they do. They get called like they're not real wrestlers. They're just, like they're like viewed as like this negative thing. And I'm like, I think it's kind of like weirdly poetic in a way.
But what's funny is most of the people that I find we associate with on any given day, I've seen video that they can bang in a non-hardcore fucking match like any day of the week. Like I've seen your training videos on Instagram and everything where you're doing all that technical stuff, some aerial pinning combinations that some of these people that might hate on hardcore wrestling couldn't fucking fathom it doing, so they can suck a big dick. And like myself, I come from like an amateur wrestling background. I love old school traditional rock'em sock'em wrestling more than anybody. It's just this is my gig, like this is where my pain tolerance is at, this is my niche.
But like there's like you love certain things. Like I find like it's because I came in late to the game. Like I was 25 when I started training. I'm 30 now, 31. But like so I came in late.
A baby.
But I came in late.
Hardbody were saying Hardbody was saying to me the other day when we were talking, like the game doesn't discriminate like it used to. That's still pretty young.
Yeah, well, like that's what I started to realize. Like the only reason I stayed in it is because it's not like it used to be. Like I've dealt with promoters that used to think like, oh well, this is what it's like in WWE or was back in the day. I'm like thinking like, but it's not like that anymore. Like you can't just start pulling this shit. Like things are changing. Twitter is changing the game for sure. Like there's so much stuff going on in the world and things are changing, and so is wrestling. And like these people that are so stuck in that mindset, like they have to realize that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like things like GCW, that was a lot of those shows got a lot of attention over WrestleMania week. I find a lot of the hardcore stuff's getting more attention and more spotlight, and maybe it's a stretch, but I'd say a lot of credit to that would be like John Moxley bringing that back into the spotlight, almost like making it cool again. Like hardcore is his yo-yo, like he's bringing it back.
Yeah, like it's something that I think is about to be but it's almost like you can say like women's wrestling now. It's like like it was kind of in the background, whatever, but then now it's like hardcore wrestling starting to come into light. Women are starting to main event major shows, and like they're starting to wrestle like the guys, and like so it's just kind of an interesting time to be part of an industry. Like I don't think I'm like, oh, this amazing wrestler, but I love doing it, and I know that a lot of the younger girls, like they look up to me now, and they raise, and like, and I think I just get them on a more personal level. And like back in the day that wouldn't fly. Like it's like just like I just feel like people were very cold and like off-putting, and like I don't want to be like that. Like I'm not like this most super vet girl in Ontario, but I have like younger girls that I think kind of not rely on me, but they come to me and they talk to me, and like I kind of like having that. People
in the past were fucking dicks in locker rooms. It wasn't up until like in the last couple of years when I sat in the locker room and like the promoter had to go run an errand or something and wanted to leave people in charge, and like, who are my vets? And like it was like Kwang Chang. Someone's like Kwang Chang and Skillz. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh fuck, like no. Like I just want to fucking get dressed, go back, smoke up, throw down, get the fuck out of here. Like I ain't looking to like find out, go around the room, who's working what body part tonight, who's doing what, you can't do this, you can't do that. I'm like, I don't want that responsibility. I never even want to be looked at as a vet.
No, like I don't, like that's what's like weird. Like when people come up to me and ask me like if I could watch them, like I'm not that level yet. Like when did that? But like I will, like I'll sit and I'll watch and I'll be like, okay, well personally, I'm like, and this is just me being like just from my perspective, like this is what I think could have been better. This is what, like for me, I try to work on more character. So I'll be like, well, I think you should be more of a like work on your character more. Like people can get the moves down, no
100%
problem.
agree. 100% agree. The character thing. And what's funny is like myself, it's never been much of a character. It's been more just really being myself and just, kind of trying to put that out there, stay talking and stuff like that. But I'm glad you bring up the character thing. I heard a dirty rumor, and by dirty rumor, I mean it was off your Facebook, that you were thinking of a little bit of a gimmick change. And a picture seemed to have changed your mind. I want to talk about that. This Selfie Queen gimmick. How did you come up with that?
Okay, so I can't take full credit for it.
Okay.
There are people out there that'll take credit for it. I'm not going to give them that credit because they're assholes. But Freddie is one of the people that I bounce the ideas off of. So when I got brought into Acclaim for the first time, because they needed a girl, and Bale was like, I'll bring Jessie, like whatever. So we're sitting in the car, and I'm like going over like this idea for this gimmick. And I'm like, it's just like somebody that answers their phone mid-match, all this stuff. And he's like, from there, he's just like, maybe we should do this, and maybe you should do this. And like, we were just bouncing off ideas. And I don't think the selfie thing really came into play for the first few months with it. Like, so pretty much I was just answering my phone. Yeah. And like being annoying. And then I think there was a point where I wrestled.
You were the cell phone queen.
Yeah, like I was just like this, like what it is like so, like a douchebag millennial, like that. I'm just making fun of my generation, like always on the phone. Actually, what was really funny was Divya called me once mid-match with Bia, and I should have answered it. And like that, these are things that I wish that I knew back then.
Yeah, because they'd have been great fucking memories now.
Yeah, like it. But I knew after like I kind of dismissed the call and just kept doing my thing because like I was so focused in the move set and like trying to figure out like where we were, and I was freaking out in my head. And I'm like, but if I had taken the moment just to be a character, that would have made the match 10 times better. Nobody would remember the moves, but they would remember the time that Jessie Mack actually answered the phone in the middle of a match. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like these are things.
That would be a fucking great memory, especially real conversation, completely unplanned, organic.
Yeah, and like, but like some people don't like that. Some people are so like stick to the move set, and I'm like, I think that's why I wrestle with the hardcore guys, because they're not like that.
No, most of us are not. Like there's matches where I get myself into where unfortunately I get stuck doing that shit and it drives me up the wall. But like just call it. Like, beginning, middle, end, all that good stuff. Like there's gotta be a basis, but like you gotta be able to go out there and vibe.
Yeah, well, like I'm not one to run out and just kind of call it right then and there. I like to have like a skeleton plan. And then just whatever happens.
That's what I mean. Beginning, middle, end, that's cool. But like, I don't need to know that you're gonna twist my arm, and then you're gonna, throw it behind me, and then you're gonna spin around me and put me in a headlock. Just do you. Just do you.
My biggest pet peeve, and I realize this now, having a lot of time to think about wrestling, is people who plan their heat. Like, I can't take people seriously when they plan every move in the heat, and I'm just like, attack me, like just hit me.
Yeah, it's not like you're doing like, I mean, you're the bad guy. You're not supposed to be doing anything flashy. So
yeah, you're just supposed to be an asshole. And if you're wrestling a girl,
be an asshole, do some simple moves, and I want to get into that. Like when you say that, like you're wrestling a girl and with the intergender stuff. Mm-hmm. Do you ever find that like your matches get oversaturated by guys wanting to put cheap heat into the match?
Do what's really weird is that a lot of the guys, so a lot of guys wrestle me like they're wrestling another guy. Like the mentality behind it, like there are a few guys that are kind of hesitant, but it's generally like, so one time with Sexy Eddie, he was face and I was heel, but he didn't because he was like thinking of it from his character perspective, so he's kind of like iffy on how to do certain things. Yeah. And so like it was interesting just to kind of watch that, but I wasn't upset about it. But like every other guy, pretty much, with the exception of a few, like they wrestle me like I'm like equal. Like Hacker, like Hacker will force me to do something I never done before. Like I did a Canadian Destroyer, never done in my life. He's like, you're
Yeah,
gonna do
you
one
guys
today.
you guys had a good match, but that match, because I watched that match. That match did follow your basic like male versus female. Like that's how it's like,
That was the point.
him not
That
taking you seriously. And that's kind of
so
like what I was getting at is that do you find a lot of your matches like that's the gimmick?
well with Hacker, it's his character. Like
Mhm.
as it like in that particular moment, that is his character. And
Yeah,
so
he's a goofy type heel, which is kind of cool because he can almost come this is fucking terrible, but he can come off as likable in that role.
yeah. So
Not
with
because you think like that's something you support in your regular life, just because like, but in that role, he's gold. Like he's
yeah,
viable.
yeah. So for that, like with like him and like Steve Brown, like yeah, like for me with them, they've been doing this for so much longer than me. And so whenever they tell me something, I just go with it. I trust them. And like the product with me and Hacker have always been like it's one of my favorites too. Like just working Hacker and just like the character stuff, like he lets
Mhm.
me be. And like he's very character, I'm very character. So it's like a really good, it's like a learning, it's really good learning for me. The so after I started dating Cash, we had to go over like not like ground rules, but things that made him, I guess, uncomfortable that I would
Yeah.
do in the ring. And it kind of was more like the misogynistic stuff, like
Yeah,
getting like
and
being
I
bent
get
over and being slapped. Like he was not.
and I get that. Everybody's got their comfort level. Like myself, like when I'd say this probably like 2005, 2006. I was in a feud with basically the base feud was with Jen Blake when
Mhm.
she first started crossed over from managing to wrestling. I was one of the first opponents she really did like a full program with in the ring. And like obviously when I'm saying like this was, 2005, 2006, it was a lot different time. And I was that full on take advantage of what it was and make myself just as despicable as possible. Like I will come out to the ring and say, this is a man's sport. Like women don't belong. Like she can't beat me. Like this is not a thing. This is not realistic. And I actually had a full series of fucking matches with her, and I did not win a single fucking one, and did not come out of it looking like shit. It fucking viable the whole way, but people just hated me so bad. Like we did a match even it was myself and my tag team partner at the time, Rec. Ironically, our tag team name was Cheap Heat because I was all about that shit. I was as ignorant as you could possibly be.
Yeah.
Most times vets would pull me aside and be like, yo, like you don't need to do that to get a pop. I'm like, you're right, I don't. That's what makes it so funny.
Oh
I
my
think it
god.
offended the people in the back more than it offended the people in the crowd, which sometimes just fucking gives me the shits and giggles. But yeah, we did a match that was me and Rec against Jen Blake and April Hunter. And then they had Ted DiBiase managing.
Yeah.
So that was, that was pretty crazy then. But like it was that era of when a guy wrestled a girl, it was that tacky type of wrestling. And I wasn't sure how to take it because like I like to talk a big game in the ring, but I am a respectful fucking guy. So like,
Yeah.
I only want this match to go as like in the direction that they're comfortable with. And I found myself planning matches with women. A lot of times I was the one that was more conservative and they're like, "Oh, why don't you do this?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Are you sure? Like, I don't want to ruffle no feathers. Like, do we need it?" And they're like, "Oh, fuck yeah, it'll go over." And I'm like, "Okay, like that's fine." I only push it as far as my opponent wants to, but like if I get a green light, sure, I'll be the most hated person in the building. Like, but now it seems like, would you agree that that kind of heat's almost less tolerated?
I don't know. Like I think like I don't mind it. Like I like there's gonna be some matches like where I think that you like depending on the character, like you have to go back to that. Like
Yeah.
like I am fine. Like I understand like in reality, I'm a girl facing a guy the size of Cash. or this or like, you know what I'm saying? Like it would still be the same as like if hard body was the same. It's the same position, right? Like me and hard body are like the same size. Like I get treated like a small guy because I would be considered like I am small. So I don't feel like it's like that. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like I get out of here.
Hey, asshole.
Go away.
Trying to get. I'm not paying for that cameo either.
He doesn't care. He's walking away.
It's okay.
I don't know. Like every guy that I've wrestled, it's been very equal. Like it's very. There's only been a few times where they're just like they don't respect the intergender, and you know they don't. But
so
you
have you wrestled some guys that were real fucking douchebags about the process?
Oh, okay.
Not douchebags. It was kind of like just kind of off-putted, but like they weren't douchebags about it. Like they came to do
like
a job.
Were they
They're
just
getting
not
paid.
willing to give you much?
Yeah, like they're like, well, I don't think that you could do this to me. Like, and like at the time, like I'm like, you know, like I respect that. Like I don't want you to like, you know, lose like your mojo over this. Like I don't care. Like I'm here to do a specific job. I'm gonna get paid the same no matter what. And like there's some people that are like that, but again,
depending
I'm an
on
adult.
the situation, I hate that I don't think you could do this to me line. Especially when I'd wrestle some of the bigger guys that like I'd be like, all right, so I'm gonna put you up and I'm gonna throw you, and they're like, yeah, but I don't think like you could do that to me. I'm like, I'm literally gonna fucking do that to you. What part of that doesn't make sense? If I can literally do it,
yeah,
then yes, that's a thing.
Like I will never do something that I can't do.
Yeah,
like that is just where I'm at. Like if they ask me if I can do this, but like they're gonna be people like that. It's like the real world. Like you're still gonna come face with that in any industry, like stuff like that. As a woman, and I hate saying that because like I'm not super like feminazi kind of, you know.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
I call myself an equalist.
I mean, you don't have to be, you know, like super, you know, feminist, you know, as you put it, to, you know, state a fact. It is what it is, and it is harder. It absolutely is harder. Like there's no denying that. You don't have to put a label on yourself in order to state a fact or feel a certain way.
I know. It's just I always do that. Like I'm like, and then I get like in shit for saying like I'm not a feminist, but I'm not a feminist. I'm an equalist. I'm just gonna do what it is I'm gonna do, and if it's predominantly done by men, like, well, I'm still gonna do it. Like I'm not gonna be like I am woman. Of course I can. Like it's weird. Like I have like this whole weird mentality about it, and I get in shit for it all the time from other girls who are like, no, it's like you should really like I don't know, it just for some reason it bothers them. I don't get it.
So fair, you know, easy, like I'd say it's fair to say with what, you know, we've talked about, you don't really plan on changing a damn thing at this point when things come back, as far as, you know, still doing the hardcore matches, still sticking to your niche with, you know, the popularity increasing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like I've talked to Albright about this, and like I just think that I'm gonna come back with I'm not gonna be kissing ass, like kind of like that kiss ass personality. Like you're gonna book me because you want me on a show, and I'm gonna be there, and I'm nice. I'm a nice person. But if people are gonna treat me like shit, like I'm not gonna be like I'm not gonna sit there and take it. Like I've had a lot of time to reflect. Like I was super pregnant. I had all this time to sit here and think about the stuff that I let happen to me in wrestling, and when I come back, I'm not taking it. Like my Psycho Mike gave me the advice that after keep your mouth shut for 3 years. And after 3 years, by all means, speak up. I'm 4 years now, I think. I'm pushing 4 years. Like, I'm going to say shit now. Because, like, I don't have, like, a lot of like, I'm not stupid, but I don't have a lot of self-confidence. And, like, but now I'm like, why the hell did I let people talk to me like that? Like, why the hell am I letting people walk all over me? Like, we're all getting paid around the same amount to do the same fucking shit. Like, none of us are signed. None of us we're like, you're either in this to get signed or you're in this because it's fun. I'm in this because it's fun. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I'm gonna get signed. No, that's not the goal for me. Now my goal is to wrestle long enough for my kid to watch me. Like that's my goal.
Yeah, that's, you know, one goal at a time.
Yeah,
and that's the goal today.
Yeah, and like I'm in it for me to have fun. And a lot of like people are like, you need to be like, you want to be a real wrestler, like this is what like I'm like, no, like we're all real wrestlers, we're all out here, we're all putting our body on the line, we're all getting paid, we're all fucking like it's like we all get paid like around the same amount of money to do 5-10 minutes in the ring. Like, there, it's Ontario, man. I don't know what kind of like shit bubble we've been sitting in, but like people are just.
Well, I mean, and I've heard people have that mentality, and I won't like give their names the time of day or anything like that because they don't need any fucking light shed on them. That have said to me when I've said I at this point I really do it on a part-time schedule, and I'm like, oh, if you're doing it on a part-time schedule, you're taking away from the people doing it full time and this, that, and the other, and if you're not taking it that seriously, I'm like, well, you say it's a job. Some people have fucking part-time jobs. Some people have fucking full-time jobs. Like, it is what it is.
Could you imagine how boring a wrestling show would be with the same 5 people?
And it's not like, and it's not like I fucking like, it's not like the big league bullshit where like people don't like guys like Brock that are part-timers. I'm not like any kind of big timer. When I come back part-time, I'm usually doing a fucking opening match and a bumfuck Idaho Nobody show. Like, get off my nuts.
Like, the biggest thing I've done, and like honestly, like my career to this point has been pretty like good. Like I've never like done anything crazy, but like my first title.
You've had some good moments. I've gotten my opportunities to see you with some fucking gold held up high.
Like, my first belt ever was given to me by Steamboat. Like, that in itself is really freaking cool. And I did it in my hometown, in front of my family, in front of like 600 people, which is the biggest crowd I've ever wrestled.
Which championship was that?
It's a Chinlock heavyweight champion.
Okay, yeah.
I was the inaugural champion too. Like, it was like a whole lot of things, and like I didn't even know that it was happening.
And you've had 2 titles there, right?
Yeah. So I'm now the I'm gonna say it wrong. The Cale Murphy Memorial Champion now.
Yes.
And then CJ Felony is the heavyweight champion.
Yeah, he beat you for that, correct?
No. I was in a 4-way and Bia won.
Oh, that's right. Because are you and CJ Felony like a team there?
Now we're a team now, and it was like a big shock reveal.
Yes. Okay, that's what it was. He didn't beat you for the title, but
no. And then when I won the Murphy belt, the Memorial belt, sorry, since Santino gave it to me, and that was my coach, so that was that. I've also wrestled for 2 House of Hardcore shows.
Yeah.
And so the one where I lost the Chinlock belt was considered like a House of Hardcore show, and like that's
okay.
Like, so I've wrestled Madison Rain and Angelina Love, and like that's pretty cool. Like, in my mind, like that's pretty cool.
Absolutely, they're very well respected women. Like, the knockouts division was a division that was no joke when a lot of women's wrestling was. So fucking, that's an awesome match to have under your hat. Fucking,
the thing is, out of all the women I've ever wrestled, they are the 2 nicest women. Like, actually, like the most like down to earth, nicest women ever.
That's good to hear. They didn't, like, I met them when I was younger, because I mean I grew up in Windsor, and I actually grew up doing ring crew a lot for Border City Wrestling before I was old enough to start training anywhere, let alone there. And they were well connected with Scott, and they were always nice. So I mean, that's good to hear that after all that time and that exposure, that they continue to be that way, because you don't see that enough. There's a lot of fucking dickheads and bitches in the game. So
no, like it was just really intimidating at first, because I've wrestled Madison Rain twice now, and like she was in that 4-way with us, and she had my back. Like, now,
you're naming a couple people here. I don't know if they place in like your top opponents, but like, who would you say are like, let's go with just 3. Like, who are like 3 of your top opponents that you enjoyed?
That I've enjoyed. Well, I guess they would probably be up there.
Top 3 biggest matches.
I'm trying to think here.
It's okay. It takes time.
There's so many matches that I've done that I'm just like, this is kind of cool. Honestly, like, I think
you don't have to be married to the 3, so like,
okay. Well,
you can change it on your podcast that you record tomorrow. I don't care.
Oh fuck yeah, I am doing a podcast tomorrow. No, it's all about women's wrestling. I honestly really enjoyed my match with Chad. Like, I mean, can I pick men too? Because sometimes like my women's matches are kind of sloppy. The Chad match was really fun for me. My match with Cash, and I feel like that's like super like obvious, but it wasn't, because it's like we had chemistry and like that worked for us, and I really thought that was a really good match too for me. And then my match with Spinelli, the hardcore match, it was really fast, and like there's a lot of like moments where it's like, fuck, this is not gonna work. But like I like hardcore match. Like I just like that's what kind of made me realize like this is what I like. And I
Yeah,
just had to do it with a
that's your
wrestler.
zone.
Yeah, and I just had to try it with a wrestler that's not predominantly hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
And for me to understand like I'm comfortable in this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of so yeah, that and I mean the Rumble where I won the chinlock belt, like the heavyweight belt, that was really emotional actually for me. And like
Mm-hmm. Would you
it was
say
a
that
long
was
night.
would you say that was like your favorite title win?
Well, then that would assume that I didn't enjoy winning the young blood belt either. Because I won it like a week after.
Yeah, but I mean, it's hey, I mean, I get it. I get it. Our friend's the promoter.
But no, on it like that was well, yeah, that was my first title in my hometown. I had no idea that that was gonna even happen, and my entire my niece was there, and like my niece, like she was like my world. She still is my world, but like she was there. She was about I think 3 at the time. She
Yeah,
sat through the entire show. The entire show. Like
she must have been super excited.
yeah, and like I had like a lot of extended family there. Like there's just so many and people from high school and like just everybody came out and like people are like, this is so cool, like this is happening. It was a lot. It was exhausting.
Yeah, and like you know what, and you're based on knowing that all the way back at that Stranglehold show that we met at that you don't remember me from, but that's no big fucking deal. It's and I'm the fucking pothead. But you got your name out there. You've wrestled quite a few places. What clicked for you? What got you out there? How did you start spreading like wildfire, so to speak?
Honestly, I really think it was just like my ability to like connect with people. Like
Mhm.
I kind of made it like every time I go into a job interview, I go in and try to be their friend and not try to get the job. Like that's just how I've always been, and it's worked for me 99.9% of the time. And so I think what it came down to is like I made good impressions personally. Like I'm not, like I said, I'm not the strongest wrestler. I'm not like I know I'm not. So they just bringing me back. They're just bringing it like me back because I was able to make connections with them, with fans. Like I've had like really like good fan stories, to be honest with you. Like I didn't. Now that I'm thinking about it out loud, like one of the House of Hardcore shows, the first one I wrestled for, this guy came up to me. He's like, I heard you're gonna be on the show, so I bought tickets and came. And this show was in like Napanee, where like Avril Lavigne's from. Like it was like the most random show ever. But he's like, I
Yeah.
saw it, and like I think he was a fan from Ottawa. And then I wrestled for Uno at his show at in Quebec, and there was this lady who her daughter, like they've never even watched me wrestle yet. Like they don't know any English. I had to find a translator. It was awful. But like she wanted to buy a shirt. I apparently they sell them for 25 there.
Mhm.
I dropped the price for her. She wanted to buy it for her daughter, and I'm like, you know what, whatever, $20. She gave me $20, and then she started coming to Acclaim shows, and
So
like,
started following.
yeah, and I'm like, well, this is kind of neat.
Yeah, I
Like,
got a fan. Shit.
but like, it's just stuff like that. Like, I think that kind of like it's just I can make people connections. Like, I'm socially awkward, but when I can make connection with the promoters and the fans and make impressions on certain wrestlers, and I guess it's just the right wrestlers. So I don't know.
So, I know you said, right now, main goal is wrestling to a point where your kid can see you wrestle. But I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, that's a timeline based. That's all about right at this point. That's about staying relevant and staying healthy. What are some from now till then bucket list items? Like, is there any kind of matches you'd really like to do, or opponents, you'd really like to face, places you'd like to go? How are you going to keep yourself busy until, it's time to put the little one in the front row and say, let's watch mommy do her thing?
Honestly, like I think my game plan now is, since I am going to go back to school full time and I have a baby and all this stuff, is I'm going to try and stay with like the select 4 companies.
Okay.
And because they allow me to to kind of build my character And like I mean, it sounds really weird, but like there's like,
but that's
maybe,
not to say you won't take like, you know, certain opportunities outside of
oh
those kind
yeah,
of companies.
like I will, like when I come back, like I don't want to come back full force. I want to, like, you know, break in slowly, because I don't even know where I'm at physically right now.
Yeah, it's a big fucking body change. You gotta see where you're at, see how
Yeah.
comfortable. Like,
If you keep going straight,
huge
Yes.
change.
Yeah. So like I kind of like, I don't want to like go in it like and take all these bookings and go boom boom boom. Like, 'cause honestly, by the time I'm ready to come back, everybody's gonna be coming back at the same time, so it's not gonna matter.
Yeah.
So, but like I have certain companies that I'm pretty loyal with and that I want to stay with, that allow me to do and experiment with whatever, and I'm going to stay loyal with them. And I might even, like, I might change my gimmick. I might not even change. I might change. I might expand my gimmick, maybe. I don't know. I've been feeling a little emo lately and a little ravey lately, so I don't know if it's gonna be a thing. I don't know.
You can try different things, different places.
Yeah, like, well, all the video games that Cash plays, so like Dead by Daylight, friggin' the Scream Killer takes selfies after killing people. So I'm like sitting there, I'm like, well, really? And then like in Mortal Kombat, is it Cassie Cage?
Yeah.
What the? Yeah, so she does the whole, like, it's the same shit.
Well,
pretty
if
much.
you know what though, like, because right now, like, you know, you do it in like you do it in almost fun manner. You're choking him out in the corner, you're putting
Yeah.
the camera up, and you're
Yeah,
but like, you know, it could come to the point, like, you know, where you're putting that, you know, vicious finisher, vicious beating, and you're more serious, and you know, it's just a like you sit over them and just
yeah, like, I don't know.
and
Like,
then tuck the phone in your pocket, don't smile, don't nothing, and walk away.
well, like, and it sucks because like it took a lot to get to the, like, with my gimmick now, it took a lot of like figuring it out and confidence, because I've been literally told that my gimmick is an insult to women's wrestling. And I was told this like very beginning of my career, and that's really hard to sit on. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's very,
Yeah.
but I kept with it because I had nothing else. Like, what the hell else was I gonna do? I was just gonna come out and be a wrestler? Like, no, like,
It's okay, don't worry. I know a thing or two about people being offended from your gimmick.
Oh, what?
I said I know a thing or two about people getting offended by a gimmick.
No, like, it's just like, it's a gimmick. Like I'm a fucking, like, I'm a joke. No, like, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, so these are the things I'm not gonna take like anymore. Like, I have a lot more self-respect now, so I'm not I'm not gonna be that kid anymore.
Well, there you go. That's, you know, stick to your guns. You know, you've gotten a little bit of experience under your belt. You know, it works for you, obviously, because it's been what's worked for you. And don't fucking, you know, let ignorant people at least tear it down. I mean, obviously, there's people that have great advice to give, but I mean, if they're not giving you a good alternative, then it's just fucking hate.
Yeah, like when you're sitting there and like you train people, and like you're supposed to be like this like leader because like you train people, and they straight up like tell you your shit, but there's no like, you could change this, and like there's no like, it's just your shit. Like, that's not, like, don't train people then. Like, don't sit there and be like, no, you're garbage. Like, you train people. Like, you should be able to be like, well, maybe you should work on that. Especially like, because like I'm like, we were all green. I'm still pretty fucking green. Like, I'm aware. I listen really well to critique.
Forever green, always learning. There's always everybody's always learning.
Yeah, and like I take critique pretty well. Like, I don't get like butthurt about it. So I, like, you can come up to me and be like, well, I think that this is a little sloppy. Maybe you should work on it. I'm like, okay, and then give me like XYZ, like, this is what you can work on, or this is what you can watch. Like, I will take that and run with it. Like, I will. I listen to people all the time, and if it works for me, it works for me, and if it doesn't, then I'll be like, I tried your thing, it didn't really work for me, and if it doesn't work, it's not going to look as organic as you want, like it should, and it's just, it looks forced, and like I'll thank them for the advice, but I don't know, some people they're just assholes.
They're everywhere. Assholes exist absolutely everywhere.
Yeah.
And with that being said, because obviously we find assholes everywhere. However, where can assholes and kind people alike find Jessie Mack online?
So Rex asked me this one time, and I don't remember anything. So I think my TikTok is Jessie Mack Wrestles, and then Twitter and Instagram are Jessie Mack _XO.
Should I make a confession?
What?
I listened and I was waiting for it, and I'm like, I wonder if she's learned from her mistakes from the
No.
last podcast I heard her on. I'm gonna ask her where they can find her. I'm gonna find a time to ask, and I'm like, let's see if she's learned from her mistakes.
Definitely not. I had no idea. Like, I don't remember any. Because I'm always copying and pasting. It's like,
Well, to be fair, I didn't learn from their mistakes. I didn't write your stuff down either, but I can tell them for a fact that they can at least stream some Jessie Mack content and matches on Independent Wrestling TV on the website and app. Where are at least some other places we can get Jessie Mack content?
oh my God, YouTube?
Well, yeah,
I don't post any of my shit. I don't post any of my stuff.
Typical of everybody.
Well,
Don't
Demand
know
Lucha
where to
has
find
their
their
own
stuff. Well, I at least gave them one place.
What is that? What website is that?
It's where all the Death Proof stuff is. There's some Death Proof on there. No Limits Wrestling. If you want to catch like GCW, lots of that good deathmatch stuff. Lots of good stuff on there.
I don't know anything.
Your stuff, my stuff, your boyfriend's stuff, your favorite matches. Those people, they're on there.
I don't know anything. I don't
It's okay.
sleep.
I understandably you don't sleep, and with that being said, you said you're groggy today. You had a teething baby, so I definitely appreciate you getting yourself all together and looking beautiful as ever for the show, despite having a teething baby that cries and whines all day. Oh, and also your newborn. I was talking about Cash prior to that.
Oh, I know. I'm aware. And then you got what? His two other ones here too. So like we got like three. I'm like
You're
the only
outnumbered.
females. The only
You're so
females we have
outnumbered.
are the dog and the cat.
It's okay. The ones that don't talk back.
Oh, my dog's an asshole though, but whatever.
Jessie, I want to thank you for coming on the show because I'm going to wrap it up here. Definitely a pleasure. I'm glad I got to get you on here, and I'm definitely looking forward to the comeback of the Selfie Queen.
It's about freaking time. I'm sitting here waiting for you to ask me to be on this thing.
Well, I told you at the beginning I would. But
yeah,
I mean,
and then you picked Cash first.
It wasn't about picking Cash first. It was about spreading out my guests in a way that I needed to.
But how many other females do you have?
Tons.
Okay.
Different area codes. I'm just kidding.
Okay, no, Ludicrous.
Actually,
calm down.
You first and only one lined up. There's a couple I want to reach out to that I think will be great guests, but I'm not putting any spoilers or expectations on myself. But I mean, I'll definitely tell them to you off the air. With that being said, I do remember where people can find me. As always, it is on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Real simple at PD Skillz Show. Because if you keep it easy, you can remember it. This is another episode of the PD Skillz Show. I'm PD Skillz. This is Jessie Mack, and we are out of here.